This is episode 18 of The Art of Agency, a launchpad for realtors. I'm Jonathan Green with
Mallory Pastor
and our guest, Ricky Carruth. Ricky is the founder of the Carruth Team at eXp Realty Gulf Shores, as well as the founder of Zero to Diamond, a social media platform and free coaching program for real estate agents. You've probably seen him around social media. Ricky, welcome to the show.
What's up, guys?
Yeah,
hey.
Great to have you. I'm going to start off with one that I know you're going to have some answers to. What is wrong with real estate agents in today's market?
So honestly, they're kind of slowing down with the market, right? The market is slower. There's less transactions, of course. We see that. There's less pending deals. And we're seeing more agents drop off, really. I mean, we saw the first drop off year over year since the Great Recession.
Yeah.
And what's happening is that agents we're so accustomed to inbound leads, right? Just things falling in their lap for a while, and it was just really easy. And I mean, even if it wasn't easy, if you had a buyer, an inbound lead, and you still had to compete against a bunch of different buyers, it still wasn't easy, but it was easy to get the lead. The leads were coming in.
Yeah.
It was easy to get there and then working the leads from there. And now all that's kind of dried up. There's not really a lot of inbound leads, right? So like a lot of repeats and referral business isn't really coming through. There's a lot of people sitting on the sidelines. Buyers are sitting on sidelines because of mortgage rates. Sellers are sitting on the sidelines because of mortgage rates.
Yeah, definitely.
So there's a lot of sideline sitting happening. There's more pent-up demand than we've ever seen in history from the buyer and seller side. So many sellers want to move, but they feel trapped with their mortgage rate. And so many buyers, more than we've ever seen, want to buy. There's more 33-year-olds than we've seen since the baby boomer generation. 98% of them want to be homeowners. 33 is the first, the beginning age of the average first-time home buyer. And like we've got a decade and a half of this, more than we've ever seen. So when mortgage rates do ease down, once we get all the debt ceiling thing figured out and all that, and inflation eases a little, we're going to see better mortgage rates, which is really going to unleash the largest wave, I think, that we've probably seen in a long, long time of buyers. But in terms of agents, they've just grown accustomed to things falling in their lap on the prospecting side. And now they're sitting around, nothing's really coming in, and they're just kind of sitting there saying, oh, it's slow.
Yeah. And even
if you'll just go get on the phone,
Yeah.
Like I've been making live call sessions again, and every call session, I mean, it's a good 45 minutes where I'm hand dialing, and I only get a good 10, 15 dials in at the most. Sometimes only like 7 or 8 because I'm talking to people, but I'm picking up leads and possible deals every call. I couldn't imagine if I was calling for 3 hours a day, even 3 days a week.
Do you feel that the agents who are focused on the money are going to make worse calls and make worse, relationships because they don't really care? They're just trying to get to the money. But how do you train a new agent who does need the money to focus on the person? That's what we're always trying to do.
Well, sometimes they have to go through what it feels like to chase the money and how devastating that is to their business before it clicks. Sometimes it's not what we tell them, or it's not really up to us to try to make that switch. It's up to them of actually going through it and learning it on their own, and then what'll happen is we're screaming it, hey, focus on the person, not the property, and da-da-da-da-da. And they're like, oh yeah, whatever, I'm going to go after this listing and stuff like that. And they get some deals, they lose some deals, whatever. But at the end of the day, when you look back at that whole moment, let's just say it's a year or two that they were prospecting and getting listings, and they did pretty well sales-wise and everything. But if you really sit there and count up every single prospect that they talked to, and how many of those prospects are in their database now and love them and want to do business with them for the rest of their life and stuff like that, and you realize how much business was actually left on the table of people because you were so focused on the deal that you were so blinded by the appointment or the deal that you were so focused on trying to get that, you weren't even open to the fact that, hey, this person might want to buy something over here, or maybe this person doesn't want to do anything right now, but maybe they will in 3 years. And if I can like understand that and then collect their data and market to them until they do, then I could be their agent for life. If you look at it from that standpoint, that was like what we first talked about. If you operate like this, you get to a place where you don't have to prospect anymore. This is part of it. Is working those numbers up of people who love you in your market that want to do business with you when they get ready. If you're always just focused on the deal, even if you're doing the weekly email and building the brand for the future, you're going to lose a lot of people that you were talking to anyway that you could have collected that would have done 10 to 20 deals with you over the next 15 years. Mm-hmm. So it could be us just screaming it, and then them going out and learning that on their own and then making that adjustment in the next, 14 months. Or maybe they hear what I'm saying right now and they're like, you know what? Doing it that way, I could actually close all the business I would have closed now anyway because people like me, and if they're going to do deals now, they're going to do a deal with me. And I'm going to get all this business in the future as well, and so I'm building my short-term and long-term business at the same time. Maybe they realize that in this one show, and they go start implementing that in the way they're communicating with their prospects now. So everybody's going to be different. Some of them are going to get it now. Some of them are going to get it later. And some will never get it, right? And those that never get it will just be salespeople for the rest of their life. They're only good as their last sale.
Yeah.
Every closing, they're going to go have to work hard to go do another closing, another closing, another closing. And hopefully they've saved up some money and bought some rental properties so they can walk away from this thing at some point. But, they may or may not ever have like a residual business to the level that they want, where they can walk away from prospecting, still close 50 to 100 deals every year in their sleep.
Do you find that agents are really failing in that area as well as that follow-up nurture for the clients that you already helped?
Well, you just do a weekly email to your entire database on the same day of the week forever, make it a custom email. So that makes everything really easy. But what they really fail to understand is that the person that you think isn't going to do anything for 7 years decides in 6 months they don't like where they are, and they want to sell it and go right back where they were, or they decide they want to buy a rental property, or you never know. And like that person could be the one person that referred you to a $3 million, commercial deal in the next, 4 months. So all this filtering out people, like I know agents that filter out, they'll call up a subdivision and they'll filter out the people that bought in the last year. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Yeah. Like you have an auto dialer here. It's only going to take you an extra 15 minutes to call the people you took off the list. Those people may want to buy rental properties or commercial, or maybe they want to sell this property over there, or maybe they need a referral to sell their beach condo in Myrtle Beach, or you don't know what's going to happen. Why are you just saying, oh, well, these aren't worth calling? Like any human being in your market is worth calling.
Yeah, and I think people overcomplicate it sometimes. Like I had a deal that closed in March, and like I texted her Happy Mother's Day, and she thought it was like the most amazing thing in the whole world. Like I'm like that. The fact that your expectations are that low, but she was like, "Thank you so much." Like my old realtor never did that. Like it sounds really silly, but people overcomplicate. Like to your point, Jonathan, of staying in touch with those people, right? Like just because you closed 3 weeks ago doesn't mean you can't reach out and check in and do things like that.
One thing that you always say also is that real estate is a win-win, something that I agree with. How do you get people to understand that the win-win is involved in the buyer, the seller, the agents, the attorneys, and keeping everybody on the same page and not making it like a competition?
Well, give me an example of what an agent would call a loss.
Of what an agent would call a loss? I mean,
how can you lose in this business? What's the...
Well, this will go to one other thing that you said, which is, when deals, losing deals gives your future time back. Like when a deal fails, agents are like, oh, they start to, cry into their bowl of Cheerios, not realizing like probably that deal should have failed. It's a good job for that the deal failed. It wasn't a good deal. How do you get them to get back on track? Because they feel that's a loss. The deal fails in inspection, say. How do they get that back on the track?
Well, I mean, number one, not all deals are going to close, and I mean, all this stuff is out of your control. That's the first thing you have to really understand, is that when you get the listing, it's either going to sell or it isn't. You could price it exactly right and it just sit there forever.
Yeah.
I've overpriced stuff that sold in a day. All kind, there's so many scenarios. So you first thing you got to realize is that you don't control any of this, and that nothing's really promised. Things can fall. Something could fall through the day of. You could be at the closing table and the seller just say, "I'm not going to sign," and boom, right? I mean, it's even happened, right? Buyers like ghost. I've had a couple deals where the buyers just disappear. They got completely ghost and they never reappear.
Yeah.
Right. I've had that happen a couple times. So it's just really out of your control. What we do as agents is we do the best we can do to make the deals happen, but at the end of the day, again, let's just take it back to what we just said, and that is we're focused on the person, not the property. So if a deal falls through, that's the property. But what about the person? Do we still have a relationship with them? Are we still pursuing a deal? It's like, okay, do we represent the seller? Okay, we represent the seller and the deal fell through. Great, we still have the listing.
Yeah.
We're going to go out and resell it to somebody. They still want to sell it. It wasn't your fault it fell through. You handled it beautifully, and they want to proceed with you. You're good. Let's say it was your buyer. It fell out, you said, because of inspection. Well, it's not because they got denied on their loan. They can still afford the house.
Yeah.
They just didn't like the inspection. Let's go find you a house that you do like, that does pass the inspection. It's the relationship. Let's say a deal falls totally apart and the person isn't going to do the deal anymore. Let's say the seller of the listing cancels the listing, says, "Hey, I don't like the way you handled the way that this deal went. It's your fault that we lost the deal, and I'm going to go listen with somebody else." Great.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with you, because it wasn't my fault. And the fact that you don't realize that tells me I probably need to go spend my energy on somebody that does understand how this game really works. I don't know. I mean, you can spin anything any way you want. And I just spin it in a really optimistic way in every little situation, that you're just not losing. You got to take the money part out of it. What you're talking about is they lost the money.
Right.
And they didn't even lose the money. They just lost the money on the day it was supposed to close. They still got the money. There's still going to be a deal somewhere. And also the lifetime of deals through the client. It's just, you just can't lose. If you're talking about one deal, yeah, you can lose. But the one deal, if you're going to have a career and do 1,000 deals over the course of your career, you're going to lose probably more than 1,000 deals to close the 1,000 deals. Number one. Number two, that one deal, even if it closes, it's so insignificant in the whole scheme of 1,000 deal career that it's not like the make or break you anyway, right? I don't know. I could go on and on and on about it, but there's just no way to lose, right? If the market crashes and goes down 50% price-wise, how easy is it going to be to sell properties? Yeah. I mean, if a house right now that's worth $300, right, that I'm buying 4 of right this second, if those go down to $150, how easy is it going to be to sell $300,000 homes for $150,000?
Yeah.
Let's say it goes down to $220 or $250. It'd be like crazy easy to sell those properties. And I know this from experience. I was in the market in 2008, and things were down 50%, and I was selling them like hotcakes in 2008, right? You can't lose. It's just a win-win no matter how you chop it up. The catalyst of it, though, is to work every day. It's to work every day and stay busy and do the things that matter.